So I'm gonna bring up a topic which is asking for the sale. I think that it's an awkward question if you ask a client to buy from you. And as of right now, I think the common way is saying, okay, do you want to move forward? Or, okay, can we order an appraisal? I think the perfect way to ask for the sale is to not ask for the sale, if that makes sense. Meaning that just like how I would start my first call in a way to take control of the conversation, I start my pitch that same way, where the sale in itself, it sounds like a kind of like again a collaboration. Like, hey, I found out something. Let me show you what I found. Right? Check this out. I got this and this, and I was able to do this. I know that in the very first call you said that you were going through A, B, and C, right? You said that you lost overtime. You said that you had $8,000 in credit card debt. You said your FICO was only 680, right? These are things that we're hearing, right? You said that you pay mortgage insurance, and all you're doing is reflecting back on this first call to prime them up for the meeting, kind of bring them back into that mentality, into that state of mind, and when you put them back in that state of mind, you're also making sure that the decision maker hears you as well, because on that second call, right, we need to make sure that all parties are available. And so you're doing two things. You're priming back the original caller for that pitch, but you're also reiterating all the information to let the person know who you didn't talk to, who's more than likely the decision maker or at least an influencer of the decision, to hear out everything and make sure that you listened. And why I think that's effective is, again, it's not a sale. It's a consultation. And so now I'm helping you plan out, which is basically mapping out a solution. Again, I'm looking at a third party looking in of the process, and I understand that it's not the reason why sales are hard to make is because it's a sale, right? When you change the way you think and approach it to a consultation of figuring out a solution on how to help them, it's no longer a sale. And so I think that's why I never ask for the sale. I simply kind of funnel them in and say, hey, you know what? I came across something. I want to run it by you real quick. I start my call that way because I discard them both. I discard them, meaning that I take down their guard. I take down their oh no, okay, this guy's gonna sell me mentality that they all have. If you guys don't realize that, I strongly believe that you guys may be burning a lot of your time and you're creating your own frustration. But more importantly, you're creating your own objection of, I need to talk to my wife about this, is because we didn't hit on the main pieces as to why they're buying. And whereas a majority of our competitors are just hitting on rate and fees because that's what the borrower asked or that's what the inquiry asked, we're naturally wasting our time by just going straight into numbers, because we don't know, again, if they qualify for it. We don't know how it applies to them, but we do know that it applies at the very end. And so you might be asking, well, what do you say after that? So after you say, hey, you know what, Mac, I was putting some numbers together and I came across something. I want to run it by you real quick. Are you available? Can you put me on speakerphone? Is Mary there now? Okay, cool. Hey, Mary, my name is Daniel. I had a chance to speak with Mac earlier today, and I was putting some information together for your review at 6 o'clock this evening, and I came across something I just wanted to confirm with you, and I wanted to get your feedback real quick before I release it. Right now, it's putting them in a different state of mind. They're more engaged. They're more hearing what you have to say, and what you say right after that is super important. You can't just say, hey, you know what, Mac told me that that you guys wanted a lower rate. I got 3 options for you. Right? Don't say that, because then there's gonna be like, oh, what? Right? Attached to their emotional mind state, the reason why they're buying. And so the better way would be, hey, you know what? I had a chance to talk to Mac, and Mary, he had mentioned that on our first call, you had lost some overtime and your income's declined about 10%. Now I'm only looking at it from a gross level, so I don't even see what your net income is. I don't even know how much of the income is after all the bills are paid, but you do. And I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned you guys only have about $1,000 in your checking and savings. Are you noticing that increase or decrease? And then Mary's gonna answer me, right? Oh wow, and she's gonna get into that state of mind, like ooh, right? Like oh man, it's just staying about the same. Sometimes we're arguing about money. These are real situations that you need to tag on versus who's got the lower rate and who's got the lower fee. That's not going to get their loyalty. Their loyalty is going to get whether this person heard me out and understood me. Because again, you're a consultant, you're not a salesman. Consult with them on how to find a solution. So going back again, and you know, Mac told me, Mary, that with the loss of your overtime at a 10% decline in income, you know, the checking and savings only has about $1,000 on average as a balance. What would you say? Are you pulling from that, or are you adding to that on a monthly basis? What do you think they would say, Mary?
Losing money every month.
Losing money?
Everybody.
Okay. Or even on the flip side, they may say, "Oh, we're adding to it." Okay, cool. How much are you adding on a monthly basis? I'm adding about $1,000. Okay. How long has your balance been $1,000? Oh, right. Then you hear it on in the tone of their voice when it makes sense, and that's what you're looking for versus just accepting the answer. Really cue in, right? Don't just take an answer for an answer. If you ask a majority of people on the phone how much money they have left when all the bills are paid, they're only thinking about credit cards, mortgage, and the car. Right? But if we go a little bit further and say, no, besides that, groceries, utilities, daycare, insurance, right? Other things that matter, hobbies, vacations, how much money is left at the end of the month, you know, that's going towards this account. And that's what we're really, the reason why I gauge on that is, you know, let me give you guys an example. If I do a second call, I love to improvise it. I don't necessarily study a file, right? The main things that I look for, and you can, I mean, for those of you who are on my team, I've asked you this, what do they do for work? And how much do they have in their checking and savings? Those are the two things I look at, and there's a reason for that. Because if I'm speaking to someone, again, at a manager level, I'm approaching it differently. My words are different, my approach is different. I'm not demanding anything, but I'm being assertive. Right? I'm saying certain things like, oh yeah, definitely. The reason why most love to work with me and the reason why I'm the best on my team or things like that a manager would appreciate. Like I'm super efficient. I've been doing this for a very long time. So I'm really going to help you save a lot of time. Right? And they appreciate that. Right? Oh, this guy's efficient. Whereas if this person was a caretaker, I'm going to be a little bit more assertive. Right? Because I understand that they're more about taking care of the situation. So I'll be you know, I'll mention words like, hey, you need to watch out. You need to be careful. And I'd say it that way, right? And this is how. And I'd show them a solution on how to be safe. Whereas a manager level, I tell them a plan and a solution. Because managers don't like complaints. Managers, right, they just like solutions. So I'm going to identify that and I'm going to approach it in that way. And that's why I think, you know, understanding a person's title is important. And I know I'm veering off, but the second is checking and savings is because I want to know what they feel at the end of each month, because that's going to make them buy from me, or at least make a decision to make a move, right? And we'll find that a lot of our clients will mention that they have about, let's say, $800 at the end of per month, or $500 at the end of each month. And when we dig a little further and find out, well, what are you doing with that 500? Then they say, oh, my kids' hobbies, or my kids needed braces. You know, these are immediate things that they can relate to right now, and it's going to shift the focus away from rate and fees, because the market is no longer a rate and fee market. The longer that we stay in denial and try to believe that it is a rate and fee market, the longer that we're going to go without sales. When we understand and acknowledge that a lot of these people are just calling us for one thing, it's because money. That's what we sell, is we sell money. Now, when you hear that and say, man, how do I sell money? Well, I sell money in a few different ways. I sell money as far as available cash flow to address the lack of assets per month, or I sell money to pay off debt versus their plan of liquidating a 401k or liquidating their savings, right? And the reason why these debts are real is because if you understand where the market is, it's a bubble, right? It's always a 10-year cycle. And the market is coming from a point where it's shut down to now at an all-time high. So houses are selling, there's less inventory, more cars are selling, more people are working, and this is what we wanted, right? But naturally what that means is that when the market digresses, in which it will, is because because credit is being allowed more through other assets, not mortgage, but now it is. And so why this is important is because those credit cards that were racked up, those car loans that were received, those student loans that are super expensive now for tuitions of the families of the boomers and the original millennials now are facing, though that's what we need to focus on, not whether it's rate or fees, because a lot of millennials are going to be reminded by their parents, oh, make sure you don't pay any fees, little Bobby. Make sure you get a 3.5%, little Jim, right? And so that's going to be their initial guard. And so they're conditioned that way, and that's okay, but we just need to kind of understand that and appreciate it. And so where I'm getting at is, when you go through a sale and how do you ask for the actual sale, you reiterate some of the flaws that you covered on the conversation, and you said, because of that, I found a way where I'm able to help create some cash flow to offset the drop in income, or I'm able to create some extra cash flow so that you can start adding to your checking and savings. Because I strongly believe from homeowner to homeowner, you need at least 12 months of living expenses in your bank. Who can deny that? Everyone would think, man, that's some great insight, right? And that's where you become a consultant. The consumer's standpoint loves insight. If you got a secret, they want to know it. It's natural. It's embedded in our DNA. And so when we present our pitch this way, it's almost like, hey, I got a secret for you, right? Like you're approaching it in that manner. And so if I said, I found a way to create more cash flow to pay off those credit cards that you're paying $500 right now, right? And I was able to do it either with no cost, like you mentioned in the very first call, because I know that was important to you. But you have an option also to either finance it or use your deferred payment. Because remember, for 1 month, you're not going to have a mortgage payment or payment on these credit cards. So that's going to free up about $3,600. You can actually take the lower rate if you want to do it this way. You can do it two ways. You don't need to figure it out right now, right? We still need to make sure there's a bridge for you to cross. So that I'm going to need some documents first. I need to make sure that you even qualify for it. Fortunately, I could do it very fast because, again, I'm a direct conduit to the source, and I have an automatic underwriting system that I have available to me right now that can get you an approval right now to make sure you're not wasting your time and you're not going to waste your money with all those other those companies calling you, right? And so that option is this. And now that you have them primed up, when you roll out your option, the common way is I have a 4.5% 30-year fix, and this is the common way is this is actually how the call is starting, right? Meaning that, hey, Mac, I got 3 options for you. Do you have a pen and paper? Okay, so my first option is no closing cost, and it's 4.5%, 30-year fixed. Monthly payment is this. Would you guys agree? It's common. Okay, why I think going about it that way is probably not the best way to go about it is because they're not primed. meaning that they forgot what you talked about a couple hours ago. Why? Is because life happens. You and I remember because this is what we do. But we forget that our homeowner just had 5 meetings at work. Their kid needs braces and now he's sweating shit, right? We forgot about the argument that just happened 10 minutes before you called because Jim had a beer, right? There's just all these other factors that play a role. And so if we're going in right into numbers, and I think it's taboo to mention the rate unless they ask, meaning that the proper way, for example, would be not only to reiterate all the emotional ties from the declined income to the lesser checking and savings, not only to reiterate that, but to present your options like this. Like, hey, you know what? I could do it with no cost. And this is basically no lender fee. And I could take your total payment from, and I'm adding up their current mortgage payment with their credit card debts, even if it's a rate and term refinance. Why? Is because I'm freeing up $3,000 with a deferral, and I'm also giving them $4,000 in a refund. I'm spending it for them because clients forget that even plays a role. Why would we leave that money on the table? I'm helping them get it. So now I have insight for them because I'm a consultant, I'm not a salesman. I'm going to remind them, say, hey, you got that $7,000, pay off that $7,000 Chase card. You just said you're sending $500 per month on. So your total mortgage payment at $2,500, I can bring it down to $1,800. Right? So this puts $700 in monthly savings. That's going to help offset Mary's declined income until she can get her overtime hours back up, or until she returns to work from maternity leave. These are real events. Now you've created a solution. And say, I can do all that and bring your total monthly payment down to $1,800. But again, because you're deferring and you're coming across $7,000, you have an option to finance your closing costs and take the low rate. But in my opinion, I think that after you pay off this $7,000 in credit card debt and you put 12 months of living expenses in your bank, we should look at this again. Based on $700 per month, you should have an additional $8,000 inside your bank account this time next year, right? Your FICO score should go from 729 to at least 760, I would imagine. Your only debt is your mortgage. Imagine that with 1 year living expenses in the bank. You're going to be a stronger candidate than you are now. I don't think this is going to be the last time you refinance. Fortunately, the reason why most of my clients love to work with me is because I'm the one that keeps in contact with them. I'm their only point of contact. You're not hearing from all my associates and all these other companies. You don't hear from me once. I'm going to be working with you over and over again. The cool part is that you don't need to watch the market. I do that for you. But that's just part of our signature service. Now I'm downplaying it, right? Because I'm not a salesman, I'm a consultant. Cool? Make sense? And so why that's important to present it that way is because our clients, again, are looking for a solution. They're not looking for the lowest rate or fees. Now, if after they heard all those emotional ties, and if after they heard that big monthly savings, they're still focused on the fees and the rate, then we need to take a step back, again, from a third party looking in and figure out why. How did I lose their attention and they're still focused on the rate and fees? Was I talking to the right person, right? Was I hitting the right points? When you present it by monthly payment, you have their emotional tie already to the savings and the payment. So when they accept the payment, it's a little easier to digest the rate, right? So when they ask you, say, well, you know what, I like the $1,800 payment one, the one that's saving me $700 that I could put in the bank. What rate is that? Oh, that one's the no lender fee rate. So we got that at 4.5% right now. Oh, wow. Well, the rates are about 3.875. I completely understand. Those are actually more for cookie cutter shape clients, meaning you got to have 40% equity in the home. You got to have a 780 FICO. It's got to be a rate and term refinance. Now, when that time comes, I'm going to be here to help you get there. But I think this is the first step. This will be your stepping stone to get to where you can demand the absolute best. So I'm saying it professionally versus saying, well, you know, my OB has all these adjustments because it's a non-owner occupied investment property, cash out, and you got a 620 FICO. What do you mean you want a 3.5% free loan, right? I'm thinking that I could think that way and be aggressive and be mad, but I'm just going to consult with them as to why they can't get it. And I think that that is effective in selling in a market where it's no longer an interest rate market. Because this is why a lot of sales agents were able to make north of $250,000 last year and the year before and the year before that, was because there was still a lot of homeowners in the market at the 4%. They were still at 4.5%, 5%. And we were able to say 3.5%, 3%. And all the lenders capitalized. So it was on TV, it was on the internet, it was on Facebook. It's everywhere you look, there was an interest rate. Hey, I got 2.75. Remember that? We see that. So imagine what the consumers think, right? And so they're primed to think a certain way, but get past that. And understand that marketing is done for one reason. It's to make the phone ring. Don't get mad at marketing and say, oh, why are they sending a mailer out at 3.5%? Well, because that's a buy down. And that's a foreign product. That's a niche product that not too many lenders have. And if you understand how to sell that or an ICANN, you are now becoming a consultant, right? So these are tools that you have that you can drop seeds on in the very beginning, even on the sales conversation, to make them want to hear more, right? And so if you say, hey, you know what, if it's important for you not to go back to a 30-year, I can write the loan for 29 years. Again, I'm a direct conduit to the source. So bring up those pieces, but how you ask for the sale is, I don't say, okay, cool, you want the 1800, can we begin? I ask for the sale this way. Say, yeah, this is gonna be 4.5%. Oh man, I thought rates were in 3.5. Oh no, market's changed ever since Trump stepped into office. We wanted the market to be better. This is how it's correcting itself. It's natural. Fortunately though, you're still able to save 700, you're still able to do all this and all this. But here's the thing, I need to make sure you can even qualify for the loan first. So before the market gets worse and this becomes a 5%, let's see if this is even an option you can consider. I'm gonna need a few documents, and my assistant is going to send you a quick checklist. I don't go through the checklist with them. Maybe through the call, I'll plant seeds. Like if I know they're a self-employed borrower, I'll get the phone number to their accountant or or find out who in the household does the taxes, or who's the bookkeeper. And usually it's one of the spouses or an assistant. And keep that in mind. I'm not going to hit them with a whole list of documents right when they're ready to buy, because now I'm making it difficult for them. I want to make it very easy for them and very safe for them. And how I do that is saying, hey, my assistant's going to send you a quick checklist of documents. And it's super simple. It's just a few items that I need to validate first to make sure you're approved. Once I confirm that you can move forward, then I'll have an appraiser come out to inspect the home. Okay, cool. What do you need? Now I got the sale, right? Depending on the response. So, okay, cool. I'll go and get the documents over. Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and go over a lock script real quick. I need to timestamp this request. Keep in mind, even though I record this is still just the reservation. I have not yet verified whether or not you qualify. So for compliance, I'm just going to go and record this lock script. This will only be in effect once you demonstrate you can move forward. I word it that way because then they feel like, oh, okay, cool. It's less of a awkward conversation. Like, hey, I got to record a lock script. Whoa, wait. What am I locking in for? Hey, wait. You're recording me? Who's going to hear this recording? Right? And we have difficulty going about that because we simply haven't taken a step back, being a third party looking in. And when we do that, then we're able to revise our approach to make it work for us. We already know it has to be done. I'm just delivering it in a more creative way, right? And the only way to get business right now is being creative and being a consultant. And so that's how I ask for the sale. To say, okay, cool, well, I'm gonna need some documents first. I need to make sure, and when I see those documents in, I'm locking the file. I got it. I'm not asking for the sale. I'm assuming the sale, and I'm telling him the next step. but I can only move as fast as you let me. Once you get me these items, I can make sure I can secure the savings, the cash flow, the rate, and the lender credits. All right? Say, okay, when tomorrow will you have those items? And why I say tomorrow is, and not when will you have those items, is because I'm expressing the urgency needed. Is that, oh, well, there's no way I can get it tomorrow. Okay, well, you know what? Because this is a reservation, I'm going to need the documents within 48 hours. If you want to take the risk of waiting, that's up to you. You do have the alternative to continue paying higher than you need to. You do have the alternative because you're already paying $700 more than you need to right now. Technically, you can remain the same. But if you want to get this done and just get it out of the way, I can help you. I just need these items first. Now, these other companies that are going to call you, they're going to try and make you pay for an appraisal, or they're going to, worse yet, pay for the appraisal just so that they can hook you into a process that you may not even be eligible for. Fortunately, I'm a direct conduit to the source, so I'm going to make sure you have a bridge across. Now you're hitting on different emotions, but you're also downplaying your competition. And will the pitch work all the time? No, but it will work most of the time if you do it right. And the times that it does not mean that you should just ignore that prospect. Keep in mind that even though our goal is to get 8 leads per day, which will equate out to about 40 per week, we're realistically probably taking on maybe 5 on average per day, which is about 25 per week. Of those 25, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt of credit qualification not being able to help most of them. So let's just say 10. There's 10 qualified leads that week that maybe you only flip 2 or 3. This means that there are now 7 who should be followed up on. Whereas because we're moving along in the process, we completely forget about that 7 because we're trying to take on new data. And so this is where I think time management comes into play, is because you need to realize that if that's 7 a week, then that's 28 prospects who are already familiar with me. They've talked to me. They probably already started business or in business. So I should maybe check up with them. Like, hey, man, you remember me, Mac? This is Daniel. Hey, you know what? I came across an idea. I want to run it by you. You know, and that's the way I open the conversation. Or, hey, Mac, you know what? We rolled out this really neat report to our existing clients. Even though you didn't do business with us, I want to send it to you because I was actually withdrawing your application. But I'm going to go ahead and send it to you for when the right time comes, right? And maybe I'm leaving a message that way. Maybe I'm hitting them on Google Dial that way. Because I don't have to manually dial each lead. I could just bucket them and then send them a Google Dial and an email, right? All I'm doing is using my resources. And let's say of the 28 that I didn't get to do business with last month, if I only got a call from, let's say, 3 of the 28, which is likely, right? That's a 10% response. I could have just left on the table and let someone else take, right? Now you're looking at it from a macro, from a big standpoint, long term. Not just how many sales can I make today, who can I genuinely help today? When you change your approach and your mindset, I think that you're naturally going to become more effective at this. Does that help? Cool.